Philippines is an archipelago made up of over 7,000 islands in Southeast Asia. Despite its exotic beauty, this vast, fractured coastline harbors a dark side that is posing a grave threat to one of the world's most productive and diverse marine ecosystems. A vast network is threatening thousand-year-old coral reefs, endangered sea creatures, and the people who put their lives on the line to defend them.
Siyam na kasamahan ko ang namamatay sa operasyon na to.
Economic hardship and competition over depleting fish stocks is pushing more and more people into illegal practices that feed off the sea's riches.
Kung wala ito, kung sa kaway lang, medyo bitin ka talaga sa basta.
The last true frontier on Earth, the open seas, are a realm where bustling economic activity coexists alongside a dark and lawless underworld. In the Philippines, where 40 million people depend on the sea's marine resources for their day-to-day survival, policing and protecting them has never been more important. In the southern Philippines, where some of the country's most economically disadvantaged communities lie, illegal and unregulated activities on the sea are helping fuel widespread environmental crimes. Illicit fishing practices like grenade fish bombing and cyanide fishing are on the rise as more and more impoverished fishermen struggle to survive. In an undisclosed location, a group of fishermen who wish to remain anonymous construct the explosives using powdered potassium nitrate.
Na ma-multiply siya ganito, tubig niya yung sabi na namin diesel. Yalban siya. Ilagay na sa puting ganito. Ilagay mo ito niya. Pag napasok mo na ito, yung sumbuhan niya na ito ganito, hindi siya pasukin ng tubig ba? Ito. Ganito, ganyan. Ganyan. Pag nasindihan mo siya, isibirit na siya. Pero huwag mo patagalin.
The grenade fish bomb is one of the biggest threats to the country's rich marine life. The homemade explosive, which can be easily constructed using makeshift materials, turns thousand-year-old coral reefs to rubble once it explodes.
Hindi abot itong minuto, hindi magtakbo yung jam natin. Pag nasindihan mo, hindi mag-ikot yung jam. Parang nyagis mo. Pwede kung sumbuhan ng ganito, yung mahaba, ganito siya, ito sumbuhan niya. Ito mo yung binitan, kailan haba ganyan. Haba niya, yan, baka binit. Kasi mabagal din takbo niya, si Merit lang din siya. Apoy yung apoy niya. Kung maano mo rin sa ilang minute ba, isang minuto,
Despite the unpredictable nature of the improvised devices, desperate fishermen are turning to this method in order to triple their meager daily catches. But the fast profit that's generated from the grenade fish bomb can also be fatal for the fishermen using them.
Tarantap ko siya. Pag sindi niya ganyan, tumingin pa siya. Isda na kung saan yung bandang ulo. Kasi agisan natin sa bandang uluhan nila isda. Na, pag nagagawa niya, pero nasindihan niya na ito. Pag ganyan niya, pag silip niya ulit, ay, sumirit, putok na. Patay! Tapos yung katawan niya. Jackpot mo talaga, yung malas mo talaga matamaan ka.
Heading out to sea, fishermen must evade the small police outpost that is one of the only local law enforcement units monitoring the area for this type of activity.
Kailangan talaga ito, kung maglaro ka kayo may kasama ka. Kailan marunong din, kasama mo.
Once they have reached their position, the timing of the short fuse gives the fishermen around 4 to 5 seconds to throw the device before it detonates. The shockwave from the blast stuns or maims every fish within a 30 to 100 foot radius. Using a compressor engine where air is pumped through a singular plastic hose pipe, the fisherman heads down to as deep as 40 meters to collect his catch.
Minsan, kung jackpotin ka, mga 10 kilos, isang tapunan. Minsan, malasing ka rin, medyo mga 20 kilos, isang putukan. Yun ang panghuli ng isda sa ito. Kasi yung iba, ginagamit nila dito rin. Kasi kung wala ito, kung sa kawil lang, medyo bitin ka talaga sa gastos mo. Sa kawil. Minsan sa kawil, isang araw, wala ka pa makuha. Isang araw, ganyan. Ito, kung makakita ka ng kawan, araw-araw. May pang araw-araw ka rin sa pagkain natin.
Environmental sea conflict in the Philippines comes in various forms. In the small coastal town of Pinutan, in the province of Southern Leyte, locals illegally mine gold on the seabed floor. Nani Boltron has spent much of his life mining gold along the banks of Pinutan.
Nag-start sa diving, sa pag-dive dyan sa dagat, 1983.
This underwater El Dorado has existed for centuries. Despite the obvious dangers, it remains one of the only forms of earning basic income for the families of this wild and remote town.
Maraming nadadive dati kasi maraming ginto eh. Maraming ginto talaga. Bukod ng sa boulder o yung buhangin, dinadala sa dito sa tabi ng dagat, bye-bye. Tapos pinaprocess. Araw-araw kami kumukuha.
Today, around 300 divers and their families are involved in the illegal and unregulated practice.
Natuto ako sa pag-dive kasi yung mga parents ko dito nagtrabaho eh. Dito. Sila ang nag-guide sa amin eh. Tapos, yun na, natuto kami.
Those who are too old to be gold divers become gold dealers, like Ernie Gailo.
Pwede sa Surigao, pwede rin sa sa ibang lugar kung makita mong medyo taas doon, may benta.
But before Pinutan's gold ends up in jewelry stores and market stands around the country, first, it must be extracted from the seabed floor. Connected to diesel-powered compressor engines stationed along the beach, air is fed through hose pipes that miners strap to their bodies. Nani, along with his fellow miners, head out to start a long day's work.
Kailangan matapang ka para makadive ka. Pag hindi ka matapang, wala ka. Hindi ka makano. Kasi matakot ka naman sa ilalim eh. Butas yung papasukin mo eh.
Using an array of ropes to help secure a large empty plastic container, Nani and his fellow miner use the floating device to help lift and maneuver the large sacks of bedrock and boulders up to the surface.
Sa akin naman, ang trabaho ko, kailangan ship. Kasi may kasama ko eh. Ako lang, okay lang sa akin yung mga ano-ano. Pero may kasama ako eh. Dinibisinsahan ko siya eh. Para hindi tamaan ng mga malalaking boulders.
Back in the waters around Palawan Island, which has seen a sharp rise in illegal fishing in recent years, a group of former fishermen have decided to fight back against the plundering of their coastline. Confronting this illegal practice, which is decimating fish stocks for marine communities, has been left to volunteer groups like the Enforcers, a group of environmental defenders on Palawan Island, led by Efren Balladeres.
Ako po isang enforcer sa buong Palawan. Nanguhuli po kami sa mga illegal na mga activities sa buong Palawan. Isa rin po akong fisherman talaga. Kaya nakikita ko rin talaga na kung paano sinasalaula yung ating karagatan ng mga illegal fisher. Kaya nagpagpasiyahan ko na naghanap ako ng mga tao rin na makakatulong sa akin na parang lumalawak din yung aking kaalaman kung sakaling man po mayroon kaming mawawuli.
Known in the Philippines as the last ecological frontier, Palawan's rich, untapped resources have become big business for criminals in the illegal wildlife trafficking trade.
Sa bayan po ng Taytay, isa po yan sa rampan ang illegal fishing. Sa Northern Palawan po. Sa Southern Palawan naman, ang rampan talaga ng illegal fishing, Balabac ay Rizal. At saka Batarasa, yung mga lugar na yan, sa pinakadulo na po siya ng Palawan. Pag sa Southern Palawan talaga, ang karamihang ginagamit doon, cyanide at saka dynamite fishing.
Smugglers who wish to remain anonymous work with the illegal fishing crews operating in the coastal areas around southern Palawan.
May kota na po kami, abot na yung 200. I-deliver na po namin yung isda papunta sa Malaysia. And then, pagtapos doon naman sa Malaysia, may boss po kami doon. Sila na po bahala pagdating doon.
For defenders like Efren, most of the suspects involved are already known and identified.
Sa buong Palawan kasi mayroon na kaming mga halos na mga kakilala, mga kontak na mga ordinaryong mga mangingisda. Sila na po yung nagre-report sa amin. Kasi alam naman po nila na pag dito po sila sa amin nagre-report, mabilis po yung aming responde.
But preventing the spread of illegal fishing methods in Palawan is becoming increasingly challenging. The practice is easy to learn and hard to trace.
Abutan kami sa laod ba? Mga unang ano lang. Mga unang bahura, unang lapas na sa kalaparan lang. Sa Katangke, di ba? At to pata dito sa Baklad.
For Efren's Enforcers, confronting suspects doesn't come without danger. 9 of Efren's colleagues have been killed on duty, making Palawan one of the deadliest places in the Philippines to be an environmental defender.
Ako po isang enforcer sa buong Palawan. Nanguhuli po kami sa mga illegal na mga activities sa buong Palawan. Hindi lang po sa kagubatan kundi po sa karagatan. Doon sa kailangan nating maproteksyonan yung mga bawal na pamaraan sa pagkulikta ng mga isda, either mga kung anong bagay man na bawal. Dati okay lang, anong una, kasi hindi pa masyado nagigising yung mga illegal fisher at saka illegal logger. Pero itong bandang huli na may mga kasamahan akong namamatay, dahil sa operasyon, doon na parang kami ang naiwan, parang naramdaman namin na paliit na yung mundo namin.
With economic hardship comes desperation. It's estimated that now around 12% of fishermen in the Philippines are involved in grenade fish bombing.
Minsan yung mga kaibigan namin, ginadala kami maglaot, hindi pa kami marunong magsisit. Hindi yan, ganito gawin nyo, ganito. Ay, ginagaya namin po, ganyan din, ginagawa nila, ganun din sa amin. Pares-pares lang din.
The black market business of illegal wildlife trafficking has long flourished along the sea borders between the Philippines and Malaysia. Smugglers can easily bribe local authorities on arrival.
Pagdating na namin doon, magtaong kami sa Pantalan, ay may kakuha na yung isda sa amin ng boss. Pagkatapos doon, sila naman bahala. Lahat-lahat na gagastusin, mga krudo namin, yung mga, sa mga pulis doon naman, yung boss na yung bahala. Ang sa amin lang, magdala lang kami ng mga isda na galing dito sa atin na sa Pilipinas, dalahin doon sa Kudat, yung tawag na Malaysia.
The illegal wildlife trade of rare fish species is thriving along the sea borders between the Philippines and Malaysia. Over in Leyte, for years the authorities turned a blind eye to the subaquatic gold mining along the coast. The business of buying and selling the precious metal is left to veteran miners like Ernie Gailo.
Second World War, nahinto ang operasyon nila. Ngayon, after World War, nag-resume sila. Tapos, by 1949, natamaan ng bagyo. Kaya nawas out lahat ang ano nila. Nawas out ang mga equipment nila. Ang nangyari, inabandon nila na.
Ernie has been involved in the Pinutan gold trade since his youth. Having grown up and lived around the mines all his life, he's one of the older, more senior miners.
Makita mo dito maraming bato. Mga gold-bearing rocks. Oh. Dito naman, meron ditong mga konting bato, pero usually ang makikita mo doon, pagdating mo pag maabot mo na yung bedrocks, yun ang maraming gold doon sa bedrock kasi magsisitol yan. Kasi ang gold kasi mabigat. Ang density niya is mabigat. So pag ginagalaw yung buhangin, lalong papasok sa yan.
Having once labored on the seabed floor as a miner, Ernie now spends his days helping process the collected gold, which he then sells.
Yung ito, pang jewelry pa. Mostly ito binibenta sa mga may mga ano ba? May mga hindi authorized ba? Mga kuan. At doon nila ibibenta kasi mas mahal yung sinasabi nila black market. Ewan ko saan nila palusot siguro sa ibang bansa.
The damaging effects the gold mining has on the local environment continues to prompt the authorities to take action.
Illegal. Alam namin yun. Pero wala kaming magawa kasi yun ang kinabuhay namin eh. Oo. Ilang bisis na kami dyan pinahinto, hinuli. Wala kaming magawa. Babalik pa rin kami. Kasi wala namang binigay sa amin ng ano eh. Basta abisuhan ka lang na o bawal yan. Ilang taon na to. Yun nga, mga kasamahan ko dyan. Pag mayroon ng sabi-sabi na mag-grade, wala. Hindi kami magpunta roon. Dito lang kami. Pag lumipas na mga araw ng red, balik naman kami doon. Karamihan talaga dito. Yan ang buhay.
In Palawan, The tempting profits that can be generated from illegal fishing and wildlife trafficking is pushing more and more poor fishermen into the illicit trade, which makes Efren's work increasingly dangerous.
Doon po sa panguhuli namin, binabalikan sila, kaya sila yung nasa lugar, naiiwan, kaya sila yung binabalikan ng mga illegal logger, illegal fisher.
But despite the dangers, the para-enforcers continue their work in tracking and monitoring suspicious vessels.
Minsan dito mayroong mga operasyon talaga dito na yung mga B-farms, yung mga sa barangay na mga nagbabantay nating karagatan, minsan kami na po yung tulong-tulong na po kami talagang nag-ooperate pag halimbawa mayroong report.
Through local sources, Efren's team receives a tip-off that a suspected illegal fishing boat has been spotted in the area.
Dep, kada tangali. Kasi ang unang-una talaga ang ginagawa namin, nakikiusap kami doon sa kanila. Kasi wala naman po kaming, halos wala kaming mga armas na ginagamit doon sa paghuli sa kanila. Pero pag akma talaga na tinatapunan na nila kami ng dilamita, talagang umiiwas na lang po kami. Pero pag the time naman na wala rin po silang wala naman silang ginagawang aksyon sa amin, talagang doon po namin talaga na huhuli sila doon sa kanilang mga violation. Hey Junior, kasama? Pwede makasaka? Pupuntag, ano lang patrolya lang. Suri-suroy lang.
After boarding the boat, Efren's team begin their stop and search.
Mga galing Manila sila ni Ito naman yung ito yung isa sa mga pinagbabawal na ngayon dito sa Palawan na pwede nang kolektahin. Oh. Kasama na siya sa endangered. Ito yung sa local name niya, ang tawag nito ay pagi, pero ang tawag nito mantaris. Actually, bawal na talaga. Oh, sinasabi na rin sa kanila yan, pero kuminsan kasi nabutan nila itong mga patay na. Kaya medyo na lang, siguro patago-tago na lang. Pero ito naman, malalaki ang mata nito. Hindi naman siya makapinsala doon sa mga maliliit na mga isda, mga samilya.
The operation remains peaceful, and the fishermen comply with Efren's questioning. But the dangers of confronting illegal fishing networks remain for Efren, who has been forced into hiding for his work with the para-enforcers.
Una-una, tinatambangan sa daan, binabaril. Ligid sa kaalaman ng lahat, ako, siyam na kasamahan ko ang namamatay dito sa operasyon na to. Oo. Buong Palawan yan, siyam. Black record lang yan sa media, hindi yan pinapalabas. Pero siyam talaga ang namamatay na mga kasama ko. Nung una talaga, hindi ko sinasabi sa pamilya ko, sana ko na napaka-delikado yung trabaho namin. Oo. Pero kaya nga minsan, sinasabi ko sa kanila, pag may magtatanong sa inyo kung sino yung tatay nyo, huwag nyo sabihin na ako yung tatay nyo. Huwag nyo sabihin na ako yung magulang nyo kasi iniisip ko na baka sila yung babalikan ng mga illegalista. Limitado na po talaga yung aming galaw. Oh, lalo na ako yung team leader doon sa aming grupo. Halos hindi na po ako lumalabas ng kung saan-saan pupunta. Halos nasa bundok na lang po ako nagtatago. Kaya napakahirap yung aking sitwasyon sa ngayong panahon. Hindi mawawala sa akin yung pangamba na baka isang araw may mangyayari sa akin, lalo-lalo na sa pamilya ko. Kaya napakahirap yung sitwasyon. Pero ganoon pa man, ako patuloy pa rin yung aking pakibaka. Tuloy pa rin yung laban. Pero siyempre nandoon na yung pangamba, lalo na yung pamilya ko talagang pinatigil na ako. Stop na raw, pero sabi ko, wala, trabaho na natin ito. Kaya itutuloy na lang natin ito, pero nandoon na talaga yung pangamba.
Pinutan's subaquatic mining trade poses its own types of long-lasting dangers. Miners, many of whom come from broken families, are susceptible to accidents at sea.
Sinasabayan ano lang sa ingat, ganun. Safety. Ayan lang ang gagawin sa ilalim. Ang namamatay kasi dyan, ano eh, habang sumisisid sila, sa tabi naman ng dagat, may alak. Kaya doon sila na dali. Namamatay sila. Tawag nila yung ano eh, parang nasupukit sila sa ano, lamig sa init. Kasi mainit kasi ang katawan eh pag nakainom ka. Tapos magdadive ka sa ilalim, malamig. Kaya nagsalubog yung ano. Kaya yung puso nila ang...
Nani, however, has spent most of his life sifting through the bedrock of Pinutan's rugged coastline.
Iba naman yung namatay dyan, na landslide yung ano nila, gumuho yung tunnel, hindi sila nakalabas. Yun ang nangyari sa kanila. Kasi wala silang safety.
In order to extract the gold layered under the surface, underwater tunnels are dug. For years, gold was simply collected from boulders and rocks. However, over time, miners had to start digging to search for new layers. The tunnels, known locally as veins, can be up to 30 meters deep. Changing sea currents can cause the veins to become unstable. Some have been known to collapse on miners, making the tunneling the most dangerous part of the mining process. As the miners begin to remove rocks, sediment is kicked up, making visibility poor, increasing the risks of dislodging the large, intricately made tunnel system.
Pag lumabo kasi ang dagat, kailangan anuhin mo para hindi masyado maano ng trabaho. Kailangan makita mo lahat yung mga ano, nakaano sa tabi. Baka gumalaw yan, o anong mangyari, nakita mo rin para makahog ka kaagad sa ano, tunnel. Yun lang ang ano dyan, safety.
Paralyzed with no income and no social support, Marwan Mejia is one of the victims of the town's present-day gold rush.
Magpanuhot ba ang highway? Mag-highway dyan na di ko po ginawa. Ya. Di na po kumaka ganyan ang ano pa ako sa lalim. Hindi na mo lihok. Kaya nagpatulong na lang ako. Naigo ako sa lalim, kaya ito pa ako. Parang hindi makalakad. Parang banhud. Ay, gumaganyan pa nga ito, matulog ko eh.
At the age of 18, Marwan, who had only recently started to mine, was underwater when the hosepipe he was breathing through closed, and he rapidly lost his oxygen supply.
Eh, hindi ako pinayagan ng nanay ko yun eh. Na mag-isawam kasi wala akong tulog. Mamana akong gabi ng isda. Kaya hindi ako napigilan eh.
As a result, he has been left partially paralyzed and is now unable to work and earn a living for his family.
Hindi ako makalakad eh. Hirap. Gusto kong manap ng trabaho, hindi ako makahanap.
Dadasal kami para mag-save naman sa buhay namin. Eh kung anong mangyari, binigay na namin sa Panginoon yung buhay namin. O, yan lang talaga ang ano namin. Kasi, may Panginoon naman nakatingin sa atin na isang pagkamali lang. Yan na trabaho kasi isang pagkamali mo lang, wala.
In 2021, a super typhoon struck the island of Leyte, devastating the village of Pinutan. The disaster, which affected millions, wiped out a large portion of the area's coconut trees, which much of the population relied on for work and harvest.
Maraming nagmimina ngayon kasi yung kabuhayan sa iba, halimbawa, nyug o fishing o ano bang tawag sa yung sa lagari ng kahoy, nawala lahat eh. Kaya napupust ang mga tao ngayon sa pagdadive. Mag-dive ka ngayon araw, bandang hapon, makabili ka naman ng bigas saka ulam eh. Kaya nga, marami talaga.
The loss of livelihoods from the storm forced many more people into illegal gold mining, as lives were transformed overnight. It's not just the coastal erosion caused from excessive mining which is posing risks to the community of Pinutan.
Ang mercury kasi nag-a-attract ng gold. Gold lang ang i-attract. Yun ang process dito, amalgamation.
Illegal gold mining, where mercury use is widespread, can seriously harm the local environment, where the substance can get into streams and soil, poisoning those who live on it. The process of heating and vaporizing mercury is known to have potentially harmful effects on people's nervous and immune systems.
Iipitin mo yung mercury, lalabas yung free mercury doon sa yung kuan ng payong, lalabas doon. Tapos ang dust gold na makikita mo very white dahil sa mercury. Ang ginawa mo doon, iinitin mo doon sa stove o sa kalayo. Ngayon, ang nangyari doon, magsisingaw yung mercury. Maalis yung mercury. Magiging yellow na naman ulit.
Believed to have one of the world's largest reserves of gold and an estimated 300,000 small-scale miners, the gold business in the Philippines has long been one of its key industries. However, in recent years, the Philippines has begun to clamp down on illegal mining and smuggling, as the government faces greater pressure to protect the fragile environment, which has become one of the biggest victims of the trade. The victims of the sea in the remote region of Sulu and Tawi-Tawi are caught up in another type of conflict. For years, these islands have been used as a key transit point for trafficking networks. Due to the remote location, the seas around the island of Tawi-Tawi have required increased focus and collaboration from the country's law enforcement agencies.
The Philippine Marines, for more than for the past 2 decades, were assigned in Tawi-Tawi. Because of our capabilities, we are an amphibious force. It is but normal that these capabilities are employed in the archipelagic provinces. Primarily now, we're in support of the other law enforcement agencies, addressing smuggling, trafficking in person.
Ito, maraming tao siguro.
The coordinated deployment of joint maritime patrols has significantly reduced the high rates of kidnapping, which the island province was once known for.
Well, in the border, you can see that it's very, very porous. No? We also lack the required capabilities there. No? Like we have just a handful of Navy ships. Infrastructures there are not that big. No? So like the Coast Guard, the other agencies like the Customs, Immigrations, very minimal footprints. No?
Despite the lack of resources and a small contingent of troops, Tawi-Tawi's Maritime Police Patrol, which is supported by the Marines, routinely heads out into the water to conduct searches on suspicious vessels.
Ginagawa po natin ngayon, mag-contact po tayo ng pagsita sa mga bangka, yung wala po silang mga papel, baka posibleng yung mga bangka nila hindi sa kanila, at mga identity ng mga tao. Ang ginagawa po natin yan, seaborne patrol, mag-search tayo ng mga posibleng mga illegal, mga kontrabando, usually mga illegal drugs, kung meron man tayong makita o mga illegal na mga tao na tumatawid sa ibang bansa o yung mga tao ng Pilipino na pupunta rin sa ibang bansa.
One of the main jobs of Tawi-Tawi's Maritime Patrol Unit is to intercept human trafficking networks.
Ito po yung nagpapatunay na yung bangka ay nakarehistro. Tulad pa meron po sa atin sa Maritime Group sa Pindong. Ito po sa Coast Guard. Ito po sa Marina po. Clear po yung boat na sa yung bangka nila.
Known as the Southern Backdoor, the island serves as a gateway to Malaysia, where victims are often easily sold into exploitation.
It's very difficult to cover all the vastness of the sea. But because of the cooperation also, no, and awareness of the local populace themselves, they're able to report suspicious persons, and of course, because of this awareness, the people cooperate, no, with the different law enforcement agencies.
On entering the port, the Maritime Patrol Unit receives a tip-off that some suspected victims of human trafficking are disembarking the ship.
Magkaano-ano kayo? Magkapatid? Saan ka pupunta?
The girls are led away for questioning. In Tawi-Tawi's Anti-Human Trafficking Center, Rosabella Solani is the one who receives suspected victims picked up from the boats around Tawi-Tawi. Rosabella works around the clock with Tawi-Tawi's Maritime Group, helping rescue victims of human trafficking.
Madalas po yung sa na-interview ko lang na galing sa Malaysia, no? Sila ay na-recruit illegally. Pinangakuan ng magandang pasahod, magandang buhay doon. Pagkatapos nung dumating sila doon, yung kanilang mga ina-applyan na posisyon, halimbawa, cook. Pagdating doon, ginagawa silang prostitute.
With the porous sea borders, victims are easily transported to neighboring Malaysia, where they are sold into slavery.
So far, marami-rami na rin po kami na-rescue. Meron pong nanggagaling na sa ibang bansa na parang nakabalik dito na medyo nabibiktima pa rin, sila ay nare-rescue namin. So, naibabalik po namin sila sa kanilang mga pamilya. So, hindi totoong taga-dyan ka. Kasi hindi mo alam yung lugar eh. Alam ba ito ng kapatid mo kung saan siya pupunta? Ang message ko lang sa mga gustong mag-backdoor, no? Sana mag-isip muna sila ng maraming beses kasi Ang magbabakdor po ay hindi biro.
One of the groups most susceptible to extortion and exploitation in this part of the Philippines are the Bajau, known as the last sea nomads. For centuries, this boat-dwelling people lived free-roaming seaborne lifestyles. Today, the group's unique way of life is under threat. Forced out of their original fishing grounds, the Bajau are considered stateless outsiders. Despite the challenges, all hope is not lost. Elia Irana has set up one of the only charitable schools catering entirely to the sons and daughters of the Bajau living along the shoreline of Tawi-Tawi.
Eskwelahan na ito, tinatag namin 2015 para po sa mga bata na taga rito at mga Bajau. Dahil sila po yung mga bata na hindi papasok doon sa mga government schools. Dahil ang kilalabasan nila doon ay binubuli lang. At ang eskwelahan po ito ay purely charitable school. Hindi po tayo nanghihingi ng bayad. Na-sustain po natin ito for almost 8 to 9 years sa awa ng Panginoon. Kaya nga po at napakaswerte nila dahil wala silang binabayaran dito, may feeding pa rito twice, thrice a week at libre pa yung uniforme nila.
The school, which was designed and built by Elie, aims to provide free education to the local Bajau population and help offer them an alternative path away from the exploits of criminals who often take advantage of the Bajau.
Yung human trafficking, malaking issue yan at may mga malalaking taong nasa gitna niyan. So kumbaga biktima sila dahil sila minsan ang ginagawang operator ng bangka, sila yung mga nagpapacilitate, pero yung mga taong kumikita ng malalaki dyan, nandyan lang yan sa bahay. Iniisip namin ni Mrs., ang dream namin dito, makakatulong ng mga bata na makapag-aral sila at mamulat sila sa katotohanan. Na ang edukasyon, ito sa ngayon, ito lang talaga ang susi na para matulungan matanggal kunti sa kanila yung kahirapan na matagal nang nakadikit sa kanila.
Educating a new generation of Bajau has become Elie's main goal in life. But the Bajau were largely free to practice their subaquatic existence for thousands of years. It's only in modern times that this nomadic group has been displaced from their original sites. As the environmental conflict intensifies around their ancient waters, with the plundering of its resources and the impunity of those involved, Elie, along with his Bajau students, show that there is still hope, even in the dark side of the sea.